I can typically gauge the congregation's mood during the holidays with a joke. However, I was told that my joke didn't sit well yesterday, so I said I'm going to throw it out. That's it. And I was given 2 words of advice this morning. Be funny and be brief. Well, I'll try not to be too brief, but brief enough for all of us here this morning. I entitled this sermon, "Hey, please leave a prayer for me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can." Have you ever wondered if our prayers are heard? Some have the belief and some have the hope that God hears our prayers. Or if not God, something or someone does. I feel like many of us have pondered this question many times in our lives. There are times when some really enjoy the feeling that prayer gives them, and others that feel more like it is an obligation or it's just a waste of time. We live our lives with the expectation that at least one or several of them would be heard and answered. And in the 21st century, I think we can view prayer like a voicemail. When you call someone and they don't pick up, you leave a voicemail, right? I mean, we're in the 21st century. Most people text these days, but people do typically leave voicemails as well, hoping that soon enough they will be listened to and the person will call you back. However, that doesn't always happen the way we expect it to. When we don't hear back from that person after a while, we feel the need to call them again and again and again until they answer us. How many voicemails do you think you have left for a friend or a loved one? How many voicemails do you think you have left for God? Let's try to do the math for a second. Sorry. I know a rabbi doing math, but please bear with me. I am currently 34 years old, and we're going to keep that between us, please. Thank you. If we begin from the start of my bar mitzvah at 13, which is when I am considered an adult of the community and bound to these mitzvot, these commandments of the Torah, which includes tefillah, prayer. But we're going to calculate the bare minimum of times I was required to pray since then. So to make this math problem a bit easier for us, let us take out the additional times for Shabbat and the holidays, and all of those spontaneous moments of prayer. And if we multiply by 3 times a day for Shacharit, the morning service, Mincha afternoon, in Mariv, our evening service, to the 365 days a year, times 21 years, what do you get? Any math teachers out there? You got it, 24,090. So if we round up, I can say with certainty, I at least had the possibility of praying an estimated 24,100 times in my life since then. Now, that seems to be like quite a lot. Wouldn't you agree? Well, as it appears that including those spontaneous moments of prayer in our lives that we are able to include in our prayer count. So I would like to add one of those prayers to the total this morning. God, Evan here. I know you're busy, especially at this time of year, but myself and a few hundred of my close friends are in the middle of a discussion about prayer. We are taught that the mitzvah or commandment of prayer can be originated back to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that we, the Jewish people, were given this commandment of prayer when we received the Torah at Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai, that you gave us, commanding us in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, which commands us to serve God, you, with all of our heart and our soul, which we find during the recitation of the Shema. How do we fulfill this commandment? By praying to you and observing the laws you have given us? We understand that we have prayers for various occasions and qualities such as chesed, kindness, ahava, love, and din, justice. We also have prayers for emet, truth, rachamim, mercy, and shalom, peace. Having the expectation that one of these prayers that we are required to recite each and every day would be heard and come true in order to strengthen our belief and understanding of these sacred and holy words. However, as you know, when I was growing up, I had the doubt that the words that I said had little effect on my life or others. Because if they did, it would seem that I would be witness to some great life-changing miracle, solidifying my belief and faith in you. But what about those other times? You know, the other times when I was really down or terrified, or the terrible things that were happening around the world or in my community? Please let me know when you're available, because we would love to get your thoughts. Thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. My teacher and mentor, the great Rabbi Elliot Dorff, in his book, Knowing God, Jewish Journeys to the Unknowable, explains that most of us periodically find ourselves wanting to pray and actually engage in prayer. So why is that? Because we do not know how to address the theological basis of prayer. It appears that we are more comfortable with performing many of these other mitzvot, these other commandments, because there is one key factor missing from observing them. That is emunah, is faith. And as I mentioned earlier, faith can be deeply rooted in prayer. If it wasn't, as Rabbi Dorff puts it, to whom after all does one pray to if not to God? Prayer from the start commits one to the belief in God. And that is precisely why many Jews cannot handle it. We are not completely convinced that our prayers are being heard by this higher power that we call Adonai. It seems that you either have faith in prayer or you don't. And I'm here to tell you that this understanding is false. Prayer is a multifaceted experience that exists in a variety of forms and on many different levels. Some types and levels of prayer are more fulfilling than others, but all have value. We all have the ability to have a transformative and meaningful experience with prayer that doesn't always require us to have the skills to read the words on the page or a complete affirmation to God. Prayer is a process that could take our entire lives to truly understand and trust in and believe in. So why should we even bother? Personally, something that put prayer into perspective for me was baseball. I'm a sports fan, and I apologize for those who not completely connect with this baseball analogy, but as a sports fan, and have loved America's pastime since I was a little boy, I thought I could connect with this one. And luckily, when Rabbi Dorff first told me sitting in his class one morning about the relationship between baseball and prayer, which can also be found in his book, by the way. As you can tell, I'd probably be filled with excitement. He explained that baseball and prayer both required skills, that some people are more naturally talented than others. It would be illogical to think that everyone would acquire the same abilities, whether it was in baseball or in prayer. Rabbi Dorf adds that it would be a mistake to deduce that natural talent in and of itself is enough. Even the most gifted must practice. For the vast majority of us, praying well demands the time and effort to extended preparation, just as baseball does. But with that, both can be effectively done by almost everyone. With that said, even all the time and preparation of someone skilled in prayer does not guarantee someone a meaningful experience. And to push back a bit with respect to my teacher, Rabbi Dorf, I think he should add that yes, Jewish prayer may require a level of skill to have a full comprehension of them. However, that an individual does not need skill to pray. That we have accepted there are indeed prayers for various occasions and for specific times and in our lives. But personal prayers are from our lips. Personal prayers are from our hearts. Many times we can expect to strike out, which does not seem great. And understand it's okay to strike out sometimes. However, just as in baseball, when we get a hit with a word or a phrase or a particular prayer, or more importantly, a personal prayer, it makes the meaning of that prayer that more special. The word we are searching for to describe that feeling is kavanah. Kavanah literally means intention. It's a sincere feeling or direction of the heart. When we are filled with kavanah, we can feel that our prayers have meaning and are being heard. And when we believe that there is a lack of kavanah, it can leave us with a feeling of emptiness, a feeling that there's a lack of presence. I would like to pose the question again to all of us. Does God hear our prayers? Well, in my opinion, yes. I believe that God does indeed hear our prayers. I know some might disagree with me, but we might not have the belief that prayer always works for us. But if we don't continue the attempt at praying, we may miss the opportunity and experience when our prayers are answered. However, the question that we really want to ask is, if God does hear our prayers, then why doesn't God answer us? The answer I can give you this morning is God does indeed hear us and answer us, but not always in the ways we expect. Sometimes we don't recognize that our prayers are being answered by not recognizing the miracles and the people that are around us each and every day of our lives. A miracle more recently that happened is right here from this community. There has been a terrible storm that has left devastation and heartache throughout the Caribbean and the world. And those in Puerto Rico are feeling that anguish, that heartache, even to this day. And a rabbi of that community reached out to the rest of the Jewish community, asking for help, praying that someone will come to their care. And our wonderful and amazing tzedakah program director, Summer Fairman, took that call. heard their prayers and answered. But not just this moment in our lives as a community, but from the beauty and comfort of everyday miracles we find in our liturgy, to the love, the justice, the redemption, and the peace we may find from the people around us. After all, we are indeed B'Tselem Elohim. We are made in the image of God. The home run miracles may in fact come from God, but we have the ability of these hits and these walks that happen more frequently, that come from our work and the performing of our Masim Tovim, these good deeds and actions. And I would like to add one more voicemail for all of us here today. God, we recognize that sometimes when we may feel that our prayers or voicemails are not being listened to, or that you are not getting back to us in a timely fashion, but that we recognize that with patience, devotion, and understanding will our prayers be answered. Praying for you and for everyone here, that we may be inscribed and sealed in the book of life with a happy, healthy, and sweet new year. Thank you, God. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Shana Tova.